Welcome to the Enlightenment Evolution Hour. I am your host, Rob Gauthier, the ET Whisperer. The Enlightenment Evolution Hour is a part of the Enlightenment Evolution Network. Any ideas or opinions expressed by myself, the guest, or a caller may not necessarily reflect the same opinions of the Enlightenment Evolution Network. Enlightenment defined. It's the state of giving and receiving greater knowledge and understanding about a certain subject or situation. Evolution defined. The gradual development of something, especially from a simple to a more complex form. So what then is Enlightenment Evolution? The state of giving and receiving greater knowledge as we develop from a simple to a more complex human being, living on Earth for our soul's experience. Welcome now and join us as we explore our Enlightenment Evolution Hour together. Hey everybody, welcome to the Enlightenment Evolution Hour. I am your host, Rob Gauthier. And tonight we have a wonderful, amazing guest. I have told you guys she was coming for a few weeks now. Mama Minga, aka Shiminga Meyers, is here with us tonight. Wonderful guest. We're going to be bringing her in a few minutes. But before we do, I wanted to say thank you to all my people out there in the Matrix Minds. Hello, Matthew Turner. Thank you guys for being here. And also thank you, Matthew, for letting us use your channel to network on and to share our broadcast on every Wednesday. And hello to all my other people out there, all my Facebook EEN, EEH, and YouTube people. Hello. Welcome, guys. Thank you guys for being here. Really love and appreciate everyone for being here. I want to also share that Matthew is going to be doing a Friday show. He will not be doing his show tonight on the Matrix Minds Media, but he will definitely be doing the Friday show this week. So it's going to be an amazing one, guys. I wanted to share too a little bit about things. And, I usually do the network announcements and the show announcements, and we'll do those in a minute. This week has been a crazy one. Since last that we've talked to one another, I was in the hospital for about 5 or 6 days. I had an event that occurred to me in the middle of a Walgreens. It was a heart-related event, and after that happened, I was taken out by ambulance to the hospital, and I stayed there until they thought it was okay for me to go home. Now, it's not a massive heart attack or nothing of that nature. It was just kind of a arrhythmia-like event. It was afibrillation, which just meant my heart was beating out of whack and my pulse was very high. Uh, and I don't know why it happened. They still don't know why, but it could be a lot of different reasons. A lot of the energies that we've been going through as a family and as a collective have been pretty intense. Many of you guys know, if you follow me on my social medias, we had a flood in our house where we had sewage back up, and it's been pretty horrific. We're still a week within, and no carpets ripped up, and the apartment complex isn't really doing much to help. That was actually last week, the same morning of the last show when that happened. So those of you guys who recognize that, so there was a lot of things going on, but I am okay. I'm alive. I haven't channeled since I've been back yet because that takes a lot of energy. But tonight, I didn't want to miss this. The guest we have is a very important guest, a very amazing guest, and I love being with you guys. This is something that helps me in my own life with excitement, and it also helps me bring new people to different audiences to have good conversations. And to me, that's a meaningful thing. So thank you guys for sending all your love. I saw all your love on Facebook to all of my people in the Matrix Mind Media and on my Facebook and elsewhere. So thank you guys for being a part of that. The Enlightenment Evolution Hour is part of the Enlightenment Evolution Network. We are also simulcasting on the Matrix Mind Media. Thank you to Matthew Turner for that. every Wednesday, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern. That's 7 Pacific. We also are rebroadcasted on Forbidden Knowledge News Network and the Conscious Awakening Network and the Enlightenment Evolution Network. So we're out in a lot of places now. And thank you to Matthew on the Matrix Mind Media. We're out to even more platforms too now, as he's put our show in with his show on some of the alternative platforms besides where we broadcast live at, the Apple Store and some other places too, iHeartRadio, etc. So thank you guys for doing that. Yeah, tonight is going to be an amazing night. I'm trying to think of the other network, and the Mothership is a show that's had its second episode. Will be going on its third. Amazing show that we brought onto the Enlightenment Evolution Network. If you guys haven't seen it, check it out. We'll make sure that there are links on our social medias to that. And we're going to be uploading that. We've been trying to upload it for a couple of weeks now, but with the series of events, we really haven't had time. But they're amazing. And also, we have the end of the year show next week. Me and Matthew will be together, Matthew Turner from Matrix Mind Media, and we're going to mix our show into one. So it's going to be a duo team, and we're going to broadcast out to all the minds out there on the Matrix Mind and everywhere else where you see this live. So all of our people here on YouTube, on the ET Whisper YouTube, and the Enlightenment Evolution Network Facebook page, we will be joining together to do it. So Matthew's been doing broadcasting for 10 years. He's an amazing guy. If you haven't seen his show, check it out. You can go to Facebook. They do their lives there too. Really good stuff, guys. So we are going to bring in our guest in a second. Last thing I have to announce, if you haven't signed up for the Healing Sexuality course, which is an 8-hour channeled course with Aradif, we're going to be putting it on sale here in the next few days, and we're going to put the email blast out. We tried last week, but as you guys know, we just have not had any time to do anything that's not kid, flood, or hospital related last week. So that's kind of why. I want to talk to you a little bit about Shiminga, who I call Minga or Mama Minga, as I've known her for a while. Um, but Shiminga is a wife, a mother of two, avid participator in the arts. She was born in Detroit, Michigan. Michigan represent. April 17th, 1984. To the parents, to two parents. Let me see. I lost where I was at. Who made the transition? Her father made the transition in March of 2016, just a few months after my dad in 2015. In 2010, she moved to Orlando, Florida, where she met her husband, David, and began her family. As a young girl, Shiminga had no formal training in the arts, but she loved to write plays, poems, and stories, which led her passion to creative writing. And since then, she's independently ventured into many different entertainment fields, from writing to rapping. And oh my God, she can rap. I'm a huge rap fan. I've listened to rap almost my whole life, and she's amazing at doing it. Um, she's also done a little bit of directing independent film projects, acting, writing, performing her own music. She is multi talented in every way. She began her art ventures at the age of 11 when her stepbrother asked her to do a song with him, and she eventually began to model, pursue acting career as well. Later in life, she discovered her love for abstract painting on glass. And I'll tell you what, her art is amazing too. And we're going to talk about all of that as she comes in. Her spiritual awakening and growing occurred. Let me see. I'm sorry, guys. I'm a little off my game here today. I'm a little slower since everything. I've been a little slower to talk and a little slower to move here, but I'm there. Um, since then, she's been focused on promoting her paintings and her artificial intelligence digital art, which is amazing. Instead of going through the rest of this and reading it out to you guys, I am going to let her come in and share for herself. You guys can look through her whole bio in the description of every place where you are. And instead of telling you about her, I'm going to let you meet the lady herself. Welcome, Shiminga. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me, Rob. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited too, and I've subscribed to your YouTube channel for a while, so I know a little bit more about you, and have gotten to experience a lot of the sharings that you've had and a lot of the energy that you put out there in the collective. But as you know, before I start any show, I want to open up to the energy of what helped you be you. I want to find out the things that happened in your childhood, young adulthood, all the things in your life that dynamically created the you, the person that is available to have this story of being that person.
Right. Well, it's interesting because I feel like since I was a kid, and most kids have this dream of being a star or something like that. So I was the epitome of that. I've always imagined myself on TV, singing, dancing, just something, in the arts, something where I got to be seen and heard. So my mom would always joke, "You've always wanted to be a star." And for some reason, the universe just kind of just dove me into multiple things. And me being an open person, it wasn't hard for me to, go ahead and say, "Oh, okay, I'll try that," or "I'll try this." So being open and just my personality and just overall having that dream of being a star someday kind of led me to try different things. And I feel like most of the things I tried, I loved, and I ended up being good at it. And then once I think that that's it, the universe is like, "All right, come over here, try modeling now, or go try painting or something." So it's a combination of my personality, my drive, and just listening to the universe and being open to trying different things for the most part.
So you're an adventurous soul. You love to go explore these new things. What do you feel were some things in your life that kind of helped form that, or is that just something that you kind of always had?
Um, yeah, I feel like it was something that I've always had since I was a kid. Um, and as I got older, I just kind of narrowed my one of my real passions to writing. And I say that I don't write that much. Lately, I don't write that much. I wish I did more, but writing one of my passions, and that just came naturally to me. Um, so when my brother asked me to, rap with him, it was kind of like, okay, sure. And I did it, and it was cool. And he even told me, he's like, "You're really good at this. You should keep doing it," because he moved back to Minnesota. And after he left, I was like, "Okay, I guess I'm done with rapping." But when he found out that I had stopped and that I wasn't doing it anymore, he was like, "Oh no, just because I'm gone doesn't mean you have to stop. You keep doing it because you're really good at it." So I kept doing that, and I eventually had friends that had studios and things. It's Detroit, so almost everybody in Detroit has some access to a studio or something like that.
Oh yeah.
So I was lucky enough to have people that poured into me with their free studio time, um, free beats, things that's really hard for an artist to get their hands on to get started. I was blessed to have people donate that time and those materials to me. And it was just a matter of keeping myself motivated and keeping at it, which I found to be a little hard sometimes, even with all the different things that I do. When social media is involved and you're comparing yourself to what other people are doing and their fan base and stuff. So the struggle for me was just keeping my eyes on the prize and doing what I do best, and not worrying about what others had going on around them. So after doing the music for a little bit, it was interrupted when I moved to Florida. I tried my best to get here and just kind of keep the momentum with, performing. I got here and I was like, oh, let me try some bars and see where I can perform at. But the feeling and the atmosphere here in Florida was just different from what I was used to in Michigan. I already had a fan base in Michigan. I already had go-to places to perform at and things like that. And when I got to Florida, it was like a whirlwind trying to get all that started over. And not only that, Florida has a completely different sound when it comes to rap than up north. So I felt like I just didn't have it in me to start all over again. And as well as, being in a new state, you have to look for a new home and a real job that pays bills.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so once I had kids, it was really obvious for me. It was easy to kind of let the music thing go because I found recording hard and, just the things that I would normally be able to just get up and do. Once you start a family, it was kind of like, okay, I have to put this stuff on hold because it's not as important anymore. And I think that's what led me to try to find other things that I can still do because I noticed one thing about myself. I have to be doing something artistically. The minute I think I can just put something aside and just be normal and just, I'm a retail person. I've worked retail since I was 18, but I've been out of retail for about the last year now. But I thought that would, just be it. I would be, you know, comfortable with just working retail, paying bills, and that's it. But then my energy would always lead me to something else. So that's when I was like, you know what? Let me try to get back into film. And I got back into film in Florida. I wanted to act, but not even a month into it, something was like, you know what? Why don't you try the behind the scenes production assist? Be on set, see how it works, see what the directors are actually looking for before you dive into the acting part so that you can have, be well rounded. And I found that very fun. It was interesting. And I ended up working on a lot of indie projects in Florida. And I eventually ended up getting roles, writing scripts, helping to direct. And it was just awesome. Um, and then after that, I eventually calmed down with that around the time COVID happened, actually. I had stopped filming for obvious reasons. But around that time, it was like perfect because I felt like I needed that break. I was going through a lot with certain people in film, and it was starting to feel more like a task. And that's the thing with me when it starts feeling not enjoyable anymore, it becomes a complete turn off. I don't care how much I like it. If I'm not spiritually linking up with the people right, if there is more negative energy within that field, within those people, or whatever, I would rather stop doing it altogether for my mental health, for my peace of mind, than just to be doing something to say I'm doing it. So I have not did anything film related since COVID. Um, but the universe said, "Oh, hey, we got something else for you." And that's when the abstract painting came into play. So I have been more focused on the abstract painting lately. And I have a funny story with that. I used to really didn't like painting in general. I thought it was boring and messy. And I was just like, I want to paint. Like, I want to find a way to be artistic and creative. But this painting thing, I'm like, I'm just not feeling it. So one day I was on the balcony meditating, and something just told me, paint on glass. And like I told you, if I get a whim and I get a feeling to do something, I just do it. So I went in the house, took a picture frame out of one of my pictures in the house, and I used some of my kids' paint that they had at the time, and I tried that, and I loved it. I was like, oh my God, this is so much better. Like just switching up the medium and just instead of using paper and canvas, I used the glass, and I felt that so much more satisfying to use. And now I'm more comfortable using canvas and paper. but it's because I got to start off with something that I really enjoy, and I still preferred glass over any other medium. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, focusing more on my abstract painting. And like you mentioned earlier, I do the digital art as well, for AI. And with the AI art, it's just, I feel like that side satisfies my ADD. Because I always have ideas, and I'm always like, oh, this or that. So with AI, you can think of these crazy ideas, and you put it in the AI bot, and it generates it. And it is that in itself alone is satisfying because I get to instantly create with that. Whereas with my abstract painting, I try to be in a meditative mode. Either I meditate first and then I go paint, because I just feel like if I'm selling my art, if I'm giving my art away, I need to know that the things that I'm giving away have been put as much love and positivity in it as possible before it gets to somebody's house. I really believe that energy collects. I believe everything collects our energy. So if I'm painting a painting angry and I'm mad and I sell it, I feel like I'm sending angry art to people, and that art could then transform your room or your home to anger, or you could walk into a room and not know why. Why when I come in this room, I'm always angry or feel different. And it's because my art's there. So in my head, and it's probably not even true, but in my mind, I have to send my art with as much positivity embedded in it as I can. And that makes me feel good as an artist. It makes me feel like I'm doing 100% the best I can to make sure I'm putting as much positivity out there through my work, as possible.
Well, that's beautiful, and a lot of things that you're sharing too. I want to come back to and touch on. What was the reason that you moved out to Florida? Was there something that called you there? Was it just life circumstances?
Um, Me being obedient again. I literally had no reason to come out here. I had this dreadful feeling that if I didn't leave Michigan at that point, that I would be stuck there forever. And no, I don't want to say Michigan. I'll specify Detroit. At the time, I was living in Clinton Township, but I'm from Detroit, so you have all that negative energy and the negative memories that I had there. And at the time, we had one of the highest unemployment rates. I don't know if you remember the first recession we had before all this crap that's going on now.
Oh yes, it was horrible.
Yeah,
Detroit died down like a third of its population in less than 2 years. It was horrible.
exactly. Schools were closing. I mean, houses were being sold for like $5,000. That's how cheap it was to buy a house then, because everything was just bad. So I personally just felt like I needed to leave. And it was weird because a year before I left, I just had this impulse to study Spanish. And I hired a tutor. I wasn't working at the time because of the economy. I got laid off at my job where I was working at the Gap, and they laid me off. So I had all this time on my hand, and I just dove into teaching myself as much Spanish as I could. And I didn't realize why I was so dedicated to learning Spanish. But when the year followed that, I moved to Florida and I realized how much Spanish was spoken here. I was like, oh, okay, I see, you know. And that's the thing, you just never know what the universe or God is guiding you to. And when you be obedient, you have those aha moments later. So I had a friend who moved out here. I think she had graduated college and came out here. And she told me, hey, if you ever want to come out here and need a place to stay, you can stay with me. And I took her for a word. I came out here one time and I visited, and I was like, okay, I'll be back in like a month. She was like, that's it? You don't need to come back and look anymore? I was like, nope, I've seen enough.
I found where I'm coming.
Right. I'm like, it's warm, it's not gloomy, because you know how Michigan can be sometimes with the gloomy weather. And it's like,
Oh,
God, I just need to feel happy. And I think at that time I was just trying to be somewhere that uplifted my spirits. And again, another thing I realized, if I didn't come here, if my husband didn't make the moves he made, and my roommate at the time, if none of us would have moved to Florida, I would have never met my husband and had the kids that I have today.
It was
So
it was a
from
divine thing getting
it
pushed
was
there.
very divine, yes.
That's amazing. I really love Michigan, but I can understand it's a heavy place to live. It's a
Yeah.
very intense and heavy energy. Even though when you get further up north in the state, it kind of drops away and becomes heavy in a different different way.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's still very unique place surrounded by water. It intensifies everything, and there's been a lot of sadness and wars that were fought here throughout the last couple hundred
So
years.
much
And
history, I know.
yeah, yeah. So it's definitely how was it for you growing up in Detroit in the 80s? Because like the 80s were really a good time for Detroit before they started shutting down a lot of the car factories and stuff there. It was booming, that's iconic.
Yeah,
Detroit
that's
was in
what
the
where
70s and
Detroit.
80s.
Yeah, that's what we were known for. We're called Motor City. We had Motown was booming with the music that was coming out. We had Chrysler and Ford. Um, excuse me. So those are all things that my parents were probably able to, appreciate and take advantage of. But I know my mom and dad's story. They're from Arkansas, poor country or poor state. And then, pretty much a lot of people in the South were going up north trying to look for, better lives, better jobs, and things like that. So that's kind of where my mom and dad were when they moved up north. When I was little, I don't remember much about the city itself until I got in like my teen years, and I realized, oh crap, Detroit is Detroit, like violence, drugs, you name it. Seen it, and yeah, until my teen years, it wasn't apparent the type of city that I lived in. When you grow up and you have a friend one day and the next week that person was gunned down or robbed or killed. I mean, I've lost so many people. I've lost some family members to horrific incidents, and it can be depressing. You don't feel safe, but it's this still sense of pride you take with Detroit too. It's hard to explain. The things that city's been through. The help that it didn't get after the riots, and it's kind of like the people were just left to figure it out and fend for themselves. And then you have, your I think we had Kwame Kilpatrick as mayor at one point, and he didn't do the best. So the city just really didn't have the best chance after things kind of went downhill.
Yeah, it's a rough town, and I think out of every major city in the U.S., I've been to Detroit just as much as I've been to Chicago. I think those are the two biggest towns I spent most of my time in outside of the Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids area. I used to work in Detroit and Chicago a lot with my dad doing carpet, so we lived there for months at a time sometimes and drove home on the weekends.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
yeah, so I spent a lot of time there, but I never lived there. I have a lot of friends who did though. Most people in Michigan have been to Detroit for some quality or some large quantity of time.
Yeah.
Um, and it's definitely a hardcore city, but I find Michigan people too to be really a unique type of person. There's someone who I heard say on the internet, they're like people in the East and West are quite different. People, in the Midwest and East, they're
So
not
true.
kind, but they're nice. And then
Yeah.
you go to the other side and they're nice but not kind. And at first when I heard that I was like, what the hell? And then they used the explanation on the Coast and the Midwest. If your tire's flat and you don't know how to change it, someone will be like, what? You don't know how to change a tire? You dumb? But they'll change the tire for you and help you
Yeah.
out. But on the West Coast, they'll be like, oh man, that's so horrible. And just stand and watch you. That really
So
hit home.
true.
Right.
And it's funny because even though Detroit has its, cutthroat um when I moved to Florida, I just remember thinking like, man, I just felt more welcomed in Detroit. Like I knew my neighbors. Here, I've been in this apartment complex. I couldn't name any of my neighbors to you. You know what I mean? Like it's not that welcome. Everybody here is like, if I don't know you, don't talk to me. I have my own thing going on. You really have to make connections here. And when you find friends, you hold on to them. Like I've been lucky enough to find a few friends within my film circle that I can call family and close friends because it took a while to develop that here. Unlike Michigan, we have barbecues, card parties, poker parties, you name it. It was always camaraderie. Like, what can we do? How can we keep each other uplifted? Yeah, we live in a shitty town, but let's get together and do something.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think part of that might, at least in my experience, because I've experienced very similar with living in Michigan, the community. But I noticed after my children came, I've spent so much time invested with them that the relationships outside of that kind of are a little less. But I've also noticed, Michigan people, as unfriendly as they seem externally, are oriented with more community than Southern Indiana or Illinois or
Exactly.
other place. Yeah. I think in any cold region, though, honestly, people have to at least know your neighbors. So if some emergencies, 10
Right.
foot of snow, like we got some coming tomorrow, we got like a 3 foot blizzard coming
Oh,
tomorrow.
jeez.
Yeah. So they're already sending text out, be careful for your for your electric, and your internet might shut off for some random time.
Right.
Like
Oh
I'd
my
never got a
God.
text like that before.
You're like, thanks for the heads up, I
Yeah.
think.
But it's crazy, and I really enjoy too the fact because I hear in your rap the Detroit style of rap when I listen to it. There is a
Yeah.
Detroit style, and there's a Midwest style, but there's also a just like pizza. You go to Chicago, you get a Chicago pizza. You come to Detroit,
Yes.
you get a Detroit pizza, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the same thing, and I really enjoyed. So, out of all the things that you've done, rapping, acting, filmmaking, art, what do you feel? I mean, now I would imagine art because you're doing that now. But out of all of those, which gave you the most fond memories?
Filming.
Filming. Is there a reason why you
Yes.
liked it? Like a little
Um,
more, or
I think filming, the creativity behind filming, especially for somebody like me, is so much you get to let loose. So you got acting, you got the directing part, you got the writing, which I enjoyed, being able to write some scripts and see things come to life. So I think probably that because it had the most hot mix of different things that I got to dabble in. And it was one of the few things where it was more satisfying to see your finished project, your product at the end. Rap, yeah, you can go back and listen to the music and perform 1,000 times and all that stuff. But it's something about, even if it's a shitty project, it's something about being able to see what you did on a screen and knowing that those are your words that people are saying, or knowing that you brought these people together and gave opportunities. Like I really loved how with I was trying to do a series called The Enhanced, and we have a school called Full Sail here in Florida, where I had a lot of students who were able to get hands-on experience working on my series, and that alone brought me so much joy because I know how hard it is to get, intern time and on set time, and people looked for me for that. So that was very satisfying. Even I would probably say that was the most satisfying thing out of everything, knowing that I was able to give people a platform to perfect their work, you know, as well as me sit back and learn because I never for once, made it seem like I knew everything or anything at all. Like I was there to learn as well. And a lot of people were impressed. They're like, we're trying, I'm going to school for what you're doing. And I never, went to school for it. But I always have these brave moments where it's like I'm I end up in things and I'm like, how the hell did I end up in this? We were kind of talking about the walk-in thing earlier before the show started,
Yeah, yeah, we
and
were.
that was one of the things. Like sometimes I start stuff and then I'll have a moment where I'll be like, what the heck did I just do? Or even like with my series, when I would go back and people would like, we have rehearsals or I go over my script, or yeah, if I go over my script, and I have these moments where I'd be like, I do not remember writing this. And when I start learning more about channeling, I question, I'm like, was I channeling a lot of my writing? Like I have some stuff that I would read and I'd be like, I love what I'm reading, but I do not remember writing this, or I would zone out and I would start like an episode. And before you know, it's 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. I have a whole, 30-minute episode written. And it's just like, where did time go? Like, so it's weird. I think a part of me was channeling then because I know anything in the arts you're channeling.
Oh yeah,
So that
absolutely.
was that was kind of fun to explore that side of me too.
That's all of it probably was from your time in rap, when you're just getting that energy from pen to paper and
Mhm.
putting it down and figuring out what you want the sounds to be like. It's all channeling because it comes from a place where if you're able to listen to it and go, holy moly, how did I do that?
Yeah.
That's channeled from that higher part of yourself. So tell us how you got into your spiritual journey itself. How did that start? How did that come to be?
Um, I will go back a little and first let you guys know that I had a point in my life where the supernatural was making it clear that they were real. Ghosts, things coming up missing, you name it, I experienced it. And that kind of opened my mind into like this other world of that being real, because when you're a certain age or you talk to people about this stuff, they swear up and down ghosts aren't real. And most of the time it's just because they haven't had any type of experience with the supernatural. But with me, it was at least a 5, maybe 10 year span where I was just like seeing UFOs in the sky. In my opinion, there were UFOs, and I think Michigan is like, you probably see them a lot out there too. But where I was
Oh
living,
yeah.
like it was so common for me to look up in the sky and see something that would look like a star, and then it would just start moving like real fast or something.
Oh
So
yeah.
and yeah, that was like normal. And then there'd be times, like I said, things would come up missing. So that whole supernatural, UFO thing really was like, what else am I missing? What else in this world is going on? So the next thing after that would be synchronicity. I am a big person with numbers, and I notice patterns a lot and synchronicity in general. And I started noticing, and it's funny because this particular number is my birthday, but 417 or any variation of that was haunting me for like a long time. And even to this day, if something is about to change in my life, or let's say if I'm trying to get a job or something, or get a new car, and I'm like, oh, I don't, am I doing things right? Am I on the right path? I would start seeing 417 everywhere. And that number would let me know you're going to get it. You're on the right path. Everything is okay. If I don't see that number, I would literally like be like, okay, this must not be right because I'm not seeing my 417. So the synchronicity, the supernatural, and then just in general going through phases in my life where I dealt with a lot of stress and anxiety, and that caused me to seek out like meditation and things like that. So I came across a few Abraham Hicks videos. And the first few times I found Abraham, I'm like, why is this lady talking like this? Like, I watched her and had no idea this lady was channeling something. I just
Eh,
thought she was talking to the audience.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm like, why is she speaking to these people like this? So one day, I guess I actually caught her, like a video from the beginning to the end, and I was like, oh. And then I started watching her more, and that kind of led me to find other channelers and things. And I actually found you on the Kevin Moore show, and I watched some of Kevin Moore's interviews that he channeled people, and I saw you on there, and that opened up my mind to channeling more and things like that. And it was just like, I feel like ever since then, it's kind of hard to just turn my back on everything that I've learned, you know. So I kind of dedicated myself to just meditating more, um, and being finding myself spiritually as well. And I feel like aside of the art channeling and thing, I feel that there is something with me on a daily basis. I spoke to you about this as well, but I feel like I'm already channeling or in contact with something. Like I always feel this energy with me. I actually call myself an energetic empath. Like that's a name, a word I came up with about a week ago, because I feel like I feel a lot of energies with me. Even when my dad was alive, I would feel a lot of things that he would go through, and he would call me and be like, "Oh, I was in the hospital today. I passed out." And that same day at my job, I had a faint spell or I was feeling bad. And I'm like, "Oh, you're the reason I was feeling like crap all day," you know? So I had these real deep ties with my family to the point where they would be dealing with something and I would feel either the emotion or the pain or the sickness all the way where I'm at. So it's for
Oh,
me, it was just
wow.
like, yeah, it was just too much things like that going on for me to ignore. So it's like I had to figure out where I fit in, and I'm still trying to figure that out, where I fit in as far as spiritual and the channeling thing. I just ever since I was little, I would just remember being obsessed with the stars, like glass, my face pressed against the window, looking up at the skies, just trying to see the stars and just feeling like um, I always have this feeling like I'm waiting for somebody to come back and get me, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
And
it does. A lot of people actually in the chat and that I've talked to over the years really feel that way too. Like they've got that connection, they got the feeling, they got the understanding, but they just haven't finished the loop yet. You know, they haven't put it all
exactly,
together. Yeah.
yeah. My husband always jokes. He's like, "If you ever come up missing, I just know the aliens finally came and got you." Because he swears, he feels it. He knows that sometimes I'll be on the balcony, I'll just stand up and I'll look up at the sky, and there will be like a glowing orb. I see glowing orbs a lot. And it's funny, the other day I was going through my phone to erase videos, and I came across a video I recorded, and I don't even remember recording it, but it was another orb in the sky glowing and going across the sky. And I'm like, I don't even remember recording this.
That's actually amazing. That's do you, you're so I take it you're still getting tons of sightings out there in Florida then.
Yeah, I mean, and not as much as I used to. The beginning of last year was crazy. Like the beginning of last year, I had so much UFO activity just from my balcony. I feel like it has died down a lot, but it's probably just because I'm probably not looking up as much. But I swear, every day I'm looking up at the stars. I'm looking for them, or some type of proof of evidence that they're still with me. And I have these moments where I like emotionally break down because I feel like they left me, if that makes sense. And I notice that when I have those breakdowns, and that's when I might see like another UFO, kind of like they'll let me know we're still here. But you know, So I feel like there's something in contact with me. I just don't know what it is. And that I think for me, of all the things that I'm dealing with, if I had a magic genie that said, "Hey, what wish do you want me to make come true?" It would be that I would want answers regarding those things.
That's amazing. I'm actually a lot of people feel that same kind of energy of connection, but with you going through and having all these sightings and all these feelings and connections, plus you feel that way, I'm guaranteeing there's something that's huge there, and when you find it, you'll be like, oh yeah, just like you did when you came to Florida. You're like, oh yeah, it's it's actually funny. I had a feeling very similar when I met Treb the first day I met Treb, like the time I was looking at these videos on online, and there was finally like a YouTube video that had the 3D Hubble Deep Field, and I was like,
Oh
"Oh
wow.
man, yeah." So they played it, and it looks like you're zooming into this cosmos and going deep into these old galaxies, and something just hit me so heavily. Like, man, I wish I could be out there with them. I wish I could go. I wish I could be a part of something besides Earth.
Right?
And I went into a meditation to clear myself, and boom, that's when I met Treb. So I
Oh
feel,
wow.
yeah, I feel that energy. When it hits you hard and it hits you heavy, and it's amazing. So I wanted to ask you something too. You said your husband always jokes that if you ever come up missing, they came and got you. Is he a spiritually inclined person too? Do you guys share a lot of the same spiritual values, or do you guys have different beliefs?
uh no, I think we're in sync when it comes to that. I might be a little bit more into it than him, meaning I purposely seek out videos, I purposely watch channelers, and I meditate, whereas he's just living his regular life and kind of experiencing more of the stuff through me. But as far as beliefs and things like that, we have the same beliefs when it comes to spirituality and believing in ghosts or the supernatural and aliens and things like that. So it really helps to have a partner who doesn't look at me like I'm a nutbag, because it wouldn't work. It just wouldn't. I know it wouldn't.
Well, that's why I was asking, because usually there's either one of two things that happens. It's either two people share these values of belief systems and kind of the orientation of how they feel about this type of stuff, or one doesn't care about it at all, and they're able to say, okay, well, that's something you're experiencing, and I accept that because I accept you and I love you, and it works. But usually
Yeah,
when it's important in one person's life, like Kalina, she would, if she met me and I didn't have any of the spiritual things, we probably would have not gotten along. Not because of me, because I always thought
right.
she was great, but because her personal excitement in life is wrapped around spirituality and finding answers and all of that. So for her,
Yeah,
it would be vitally important. For me, it would be pretty big, but not do or die. And that's kind of
yeah.
usually how the dynamic thing plays out. But um, so as you're going through these experiences, as you're doing, finding your spirituality, how does this mix over? I mean, the synchronicities, the channeling of the art, all of this is I know it's probably, if not all of it, then a big chunk of it. But did you do any of your arts? Like, did you rap before you started your spiritual journey, or did you do any of your art earlier before, or was this all after your spiritual journey?
Yeah, I would say my abstract art and stuff came honestly around COVID. Because again, like I said, I had to stop filming, and my body and my mind was just like, okay, what next? You need something to do. And that's how I jumped into the art. Before that, rap, um, that's what I think rap would be like the first form of the arts that I really dove into and put dedication into. Um, yeah, so it started with art, or it started with rap, film, and then now my abstract art.
And
And I get a lot of people that tell me, get back into your music, get back into your music. I just don't feel it. I feel like I know you heard my music, so it's kind of hardcore. And me being on the spiritual side, it just doesn't mesh. It's not the same. I'm not the same person that was rapping those words, and so I feel like there would be a different dynamic that I would have to come up with as a rapper, and I would have to reinvent myself. Um, Whereas the abstract art is kind of like I don't have to answer to anybody. I can be creative in whatever way I choose, and pour myself into a different form of art in a different way that, sad to say, but involves less minds, involves less people. And right now that's my goal, is to just kind of detach from other people and just kind of find myself through my art and stuff, instead of worrying about what other people approve. Because I'm one of those people. I'm not gonna lie and say, what people think doesn't matter. It's hard for me not to care what others think.
sure.
So I find it easier to be in, to paint and kind of remind myself with art. It's all, like they say, the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So I might create a painting, and I've created paintings, in my opinion, that I thought was like, oh my God, I need to throw this away. This will not sell. One of my friend Jane actually saw one of these, and she was interested. And I was like, I was gonna throw that away. And she's like, are you serious? And that was another aha moment for me. Like, you cannot judge your own art. You just put it out there, and you never know who's gonna like it, who's gonna see beauty in it, who might find something to relate with the colors, the way you use your brush strokes. You just don't know how other people's minds work. So I just had to train myself to, do my meditative art and just put it out there and trust that it's meant. It would When you were painting it, you were doing it for somebody. You just don't know who that person is yet.
That's amazing. Yeah, art is very, very personal.
Mhm.
It doesn't have a quantitative a value that you can do. And I know some artists, they become famous, and then it becomes quantitative. Just you're buying the name, but
Exactly.
some person would go to a garage sale and find a old oil painting and pay $1,000 for it. Someone would be
Yeah.
like, I won't give you more than five. There's,
Right.
there's that feeling and behind that. But it's interesting what you said too, and honestly, it didn't make me reflect back on it until you just said it. It's something I had not even considered, but gangster rap is my favorite music form.
Me
I like.
too. Even during my spiritual journey, I would still put on 50 Cent and Tupac
Mhm.
and Migos. I love my hardcore gangster music. It's just something about the beats. And I think being from Detroit and pretty much overall understanding where these artists are coming from, um, yeah, some of it can be toned down, and yeah, they can have more positive messages, but it's really hard to rap about stuff that you don't experience. And a lot of these artists grew up being shot at or having to have guns and pistols and sell drugs. Like, it's their life. They're just telling their story.
Yeah, and it was real, and
Hmm.
I still listen to the old stuff. Like me and you have talked about this before, but I haven't listened to anything probably mid 2000s rap after that. A few things that popped up that were okay, but mostly it's like mid 80s to my early 90s was my favorite, and mid
Me
90s,
too.
and then that.
Yes.
But there, the thing is, I used to rap too, and I was horrible at it. I wasn't blessed like you, or you're a good rapper. I was really bad, but I would do it with my friends, and we have a laptop. I have a 2003 version of a song that me and my friend did. That's amazing. He's my buddy who died.
Aw.
Yeah, he died. He was a real gangster. We just love getting down and doing it. But
Yeah.
I tried to go back to his brother's house because I make a lot of music. I never share that with people, but I make a lot of music when I can. Mostly
Oh, wow.
now it's like Ween. Ween tribute stuff because they're my favorite band and I know all the lyrics and I can sing the songs and chip in on some
Yeah.
instrument. But after we were done recording the two songs that we recorded just like 2 years ago, he's like, "All right, man, let's do some freestyle." Because I used to rap with him and all of his friends and his brother, and I couldn't do it. I was like, "Man, there's nothing I can rap about that that makes it feel like it was back in
Right.
2003," you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I never even thought of why that was, but if you're lying while you're rapping, it's not fun. It's
It's
not
not.
good, right? And
Yeah.
that's why I always laughed when they had the studio gangsters who would come in and and everybody knew they came from the richest suburbs in
Right.
town.
Like
So
you have never held a gun in your life. What are you talking about,
yeah,
sir?
there's no legitimacy, and I think that's what gangster rap represented to me was honesty. As
Yeah,
pretty or as ugly as it was honesty. Uh,
exactly.
and that's what made it beautiful. And I
Yeah.
really still enjoy that. But thank you for sharing that. It really gave me an insight on why I couldn't do it just a couple years ago. It was crazy.
Yeah. Every time people mention it, I'm just like, I just can't. I don't see it. I would
It-
like I sometimes like I did a TikTok and I put one of my old songs in there, but even then when I did that, it just felt weird because I'm like, this isn't me. I don't want people to listen to this and think this is me. So it really, if if you're doing music, you really have an identity and tied it to in arts. Period. You have an identity. A little piece of you is in everything you do, and you want to put that version of yourself out. Right now, my version, of myself is best portrayed through painting or my digital art. You see my art, and it lets where my mind is or the type of person I am versus if I was to put a rap out right now, y'all to be like, she don't sound too sure about this rap. Like I'm a mama too. Yeah, Cardi B can do it or whatever, and more power to them. But even like I was telling my husband, I'm like, I cannot imagine being on a tour right now, knowing you guys are home. Like I would just be like, how long is this tour? I need to get back to my family. I homeschool my kids. I'm not the glue, but I am, I'm an
yeah.
important piece of this family. So for me, what's important is just being able to do things that allow me to integrate my arts with still being able to be a mom and a wife too.
It's hard. It's hard balancing the family. It's something that me and you talked about a few days ago.
Hmm.
Getting ready for this, it's I look at all just the channelers in our community because I know more channelers than I do any other field of the spiritual
Yeah,
aspect, and all of them, all of the big ones out there who are very famous, just a couple of them have kids, the rest don't. And it's
that's
because
crazy, right?
yeah, I'm one of the very few out there that have kids that have actually done bigger things with my channeling as far as exposure and with
Yeah.
the channel panels and stuff. But it's really it's it becomes priority. It becomes
Hmm.
top, and then I could probably be on tour going around the world all the time with channeling. It's one of those things that if you're good at, you can do.
Yeah.
Um, but I wouldn't. I don't want to be away from my kids, like you said, for that long. I don't want to be out of their life, and especially with Lily at the age she's at, and with all the things she's had to face, I really want to make sure I'm there as much as possible through her
Exactly.
development stuff. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to do, but I'm glad you found that artistic energy that you can do and still do parenting and stuff. Like you said, may not be the glue of the family, but you're the glue of the family, and that means a
Right.
lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so take me into the AI art process. I know, you make a description and it comes out, but the way that you put these things together with music, the way you put it together with slides and transformations and all the things that you've done in your videos recently, can you share a little bit about the creative process and also the technical process of how you do that?
Sure. I think it definitely helps that TikTok has a lot of these features where, when you're editing, you can add cool effects and stuff. Um, I think for me, whenever I'm doing something, I get bored with just doing it the basic way at some point. So then for me, it was like, what else can I do? I don't want to just post pictures. And sometimes it's just easier just to generate them and just put the images out. But it's more fun when I get to add the music to it or, add some effects and things like that. And I usually use CapCut, very, very user friendly. Um, and sometimes TikTok or these social media platforms make it hard to use music without them, striking it or copyright strikes and things like that. They have gotten better to where you can use stuff and they just pretty much they automatically tag the ownership to whoever the music belongs to. So it's like a combination of me generating the images, and then 90% of the time I like to edit my images because it's bad enough that it's AI. You're just generating it with words, but for me, I feel like I get to add an artistic touch when I actually take the time to go through and edit my images too. And then I try to figure out just like a message that I want with it, or just adding some cool cuts and things like that, just so it's not boring when people are watching it. Because nowadays this audience just everybody wants to be wooed. It's not good enough to just put things out anymore.
As
So I'm
horrible
always
as
like,
that
oh,
is, right?
I know, right? So I'm like, all right, let me see what else I can do to try to make this more interesting than just you watching a bunch of images go past or whatever. But generally, it's pretty easy using the tools that are already linked to social media, and like I said, CapCut, Viva Video. They make it really easy to edit this stuff.
Well, that's beautiful. I love the fact that it's made easy. I have a TikTok, but I haven't been on it much. I dropped some shorts and stuff for some channeling videos that my friend John Craig put together. He's amazing at the videos for Instagram and that. But um, I see a lot of options and technical things that are there and in Instagram that really changed a lot of the way people present their material
Yeah,
these days, which is great. I
yeah.
wanted to also cover your spiritual vlogging. You've done video releases talking about spiritual subjects. What got you interested in doing that at first? Was it just sharing what you knew, or was there something more that kind of motivated?
Um, I kind of felt like something was telling me that this is I was supposed to be doing that. Um, it was just something that was just like well, actually I already had the channel started because that's where I was sharing my music at first. But it was just like, start posting about your spiritual journey. So I would call myself being obedient, just another one of those things where it was just kind of like it felt like I was supposed to be doing it. The only downfall is that I wasn't consistent. And reason being is because I'm very off the dome type of person. So when I have these ideas, or like if I'm meditating and I'm like, oh, I can talk about this, or this is going to be my subject. But the minute I have to worry about lights, camera, and doing my hair and putting on makeup and setting my background, I am so out the mood. It's a well thought idea down the drain because of having to go through all that. So recently, I started a Minga after dark, and what I was doing, I was noticing on when I meditate, and I usually meditate on my balcony. I usually always have like some random idea or random thought or aha moment within the meditations. And I was like, oh, if I have to wait till tomorrow to talk about this, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna set it up and I'm not gonna do it. So I just started recording myself, my voice, and then I just edited it to where you can just go on there and listen and not worry about having to watch me or me having to get all together. I just wanted to, get my message out there. And I feel like I can be more consistent that way. I know when you found my page, I had, I think, one or two videos up at the time where
Yep.
I was actually talking to the camera. And
Yep.
I do want to do more of those, maybe like, once or twice a month. But I definitely plan on being more regular with my Minga After Dark ones, because I just feel like a lot of people can relate to some of the stuff that I'm talking about. And honestly, I just feel like as a Black woman and being tapped into this type of spirituality and network and channeling and things, it's like we don't have much representation of that. Even when I think about you, Rob, I would love to, like, I love the idea of people from the hood being able to talk to Treb or Meredith and get insight on why they've been struggling with, certain things or the questions they might have, because a lot of people in the Black community, they have no idea that people like you even exist, that this is even real, that
Sure.
channeling is something. So my goal is to hopefully be that face that can kind of like nudge them and let them know, open your eyes. You don't just live in a world where you go to work and you come home every day. There's a whole synchronized spiritual world orchestrating in the background, even of your own life. And there's power in people knowing that part of their life, even if you're not somebody who wants to be a channeler or wants to even have that access. But being able to spiritually navigate through your own life is important. And if you can at least find that part of yourself, I think a lot of people will heal, and a lot of people will get through things that they're going through in their life much better, easier, because they have a new tool to work with. So I'm hoping my page and just talking about random stuff and just keeping it real, and people just saying she's a down to earth regular person from Detroit who used to rap, you know what I mean? And
Right.
she has this spiritual side that she's connected to as well. I can do that too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I definitely understand what you mean too. Coming into the community when I first did, I realized there weren't a lot of people in the communities from any of the neighborhoods that I spent time in, that either had high populations of Black, Hispanic, or just low income areas. It was because they didn't have the extra time to go searching out for videos because they were just
Exactly.
surviving. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But to see
Mhm.
someone who represents the down to earth Chicago, Detroit lady who was rapping that they already know, that's a beautiful say. I think that's a beautiful thing to share and to be and to do too, because God knows this information about spirituality should be accessible to every single human alive if they want it. And if they don't,
Yeah.
that's great too, you
Yeah.
know?
Mhm.
But it changed your life because you had a special level of intuitive and synchronistic understanding, and that's not average for most people. Most people just live day to day and get their check and get their families corralled and
Right.
situated, and then it's over.
Exactly. Just trying
Uh,
to make it and survive.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. So, I if you have something that you want to share, because what I know about you is that you're so multifaceted and you're so in the moment and you trust yourself and you act when you want something, you act and you do it. um what do you feel like it's all coming culminating to? Is it just to keep doing that and until you've covered all the things that are meaningful to you as they come, or is there something more that wraps all these things together, or how do you feel that going, or is it just something you don't think about, you just do it as you need to, and have the obedience to the intuition and synchronicity?
Yeah, I think it's just the obedience for me. Like, that's something I struggle with because I ask God all the time, like, why? What are you? You'll never hear anybody complain about so many, being able to do so many things. But um, I feel like for me, I just want to know what exactly is. am I supposed to be doing? You know, like I have no problem with until I'm 90 just going with the flow and being obedient to trying different things and stuff. But I'm a very goal oriented person. I need to know that what I'm doing is making a difference. I need to know that I'm on a path that's going to ultimately lead me somewhere. More importantly, I hope to settle into something that can help me financially to be stable. So I think where I'm at right now is trying to figure those things out, you know, asking the universe, what do you want from me ultimately, so I can focus on that. Because right now I just feel like I'm still kind of going with the flow, going with the wind, and not really knowing what my overall purpose is, you know. So that's a good question because that's something that I struggle with to this day.
There's a magic in it though, and that's kind of why I asked that, because a lot of the time most people are only focused on what should I be doing with one big thing, or what should I
Yeah,
be doing, and you're doing everything and you're excelling at everything and you're killing it every time you step into an energy that you enjoy. And there's lots of archetypes of types of people, but when it comes down to it, there's really two kinds of people who put everything in one basket, or people who like to dip their toes in lots of different pools. And
yeah,
I think both of them can be great, just fitting your personality. And with you, there's definitely that feeling of free spirit and stuff too, that makes it, in my perspective, magical. It's a
yeah.
beautiful thing too. um oh man, I forgot what I was going to say too. I was going to ask you a question. We're getting on the closer end where we're going to do our lightning round here in just a minute. But
Well, I
with
know I
your,
did just think of something. If you forgot your question,
yeah,
I
absolutely.
mentioned in my bio about mental health, and you know, I don't know where the spiritual side is going to lead me to as far as channeling or things like that. But I would love to someday be able to help people who have mental health issues, because I feel a lot of mental health issues are stem just from not being spiritually connected and just uh, going through things and feeling like, oh, that's not right. You know, what if a lot of schizophrenic people are not hearing necessarily voices? What if they're channelers and they have no idea that the voice that they're hearing is a spiritual being or an extraterrestrial contacting them? You know what I mean? It's a lot of
Absolutely.
stuff that just swept under the rug, and the minute you are identified with something, you are given medicine instead of someone being able to come in and kind of really be sure that you're not experiencing some spiritual awakening versus someone who needs some medicine. And my last Minga After Dark video, I was meditating, and the question that popped in my head is, why is having multiple personalities bad? And I was like, that's a good question because I identify as somebody who has multiple personalities. But the minute you say that, is a negative stigma attached to it. And it's like, I want to be able to say that and not feel like somebody's going to knock on my door and take me to the nut house, you know? So that's what my last Minga After Dark conversation was about. What if that's our seventh sense, and what if that's an ability that we as humans were given so that we can adapt and be in different situations and not lose our mind? You know, Mama Minga, that's the introvert that likes to stay in the house and chill and meditate and be with her family. She does not go out to parties. That's Lady from Fatal. Little Lady from Fatal is going to be at the party with you, having a good time. And you know, I don't think there should be something wrong with people who might be able to conjure up different personalities in different situations. That's going to allow them to thrive and live their best life, as long as you're not hurting people, as long as you don't, those different personalities aren't causing you to want to hurt yourself. Why can't it just be a part of the human experience?
That's beautiful. It's this is something that me and Kalina have actually talked about a lot over the years. How most people who have these so-called mental illnesses are either really psychic or have had their consciousness fractalized from traumas,
Right.
and all of those things we don't help with now because
Exactly.
there's no shamans to help people through. I mean, there are, but it's there used to be a shaman in every tribe. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And there's no spiritual acknowledgement and no spiritual school to go through. Like before, when someone would say, "Oh my God, I have demons in my head. I hear bad things all the time." They didn't say, "Oh God, lock this person up and give them meds." They would take someone in that town who went through that themselves and came out the other side, and they would sit with them and
Exactly.
talk with them and be with them all day. That's such a profound thing, and I think if you ever come back on the show too, we could make a whole hour out of just this conversation because
I
mental health is
know.
huge.
I
Um,
know.
I had a family member struggle severely with mental illness, and her past was bad. She had
Yeah.
been molested by a family member as a child,
Mhm.
and it messed her up. Her whole life has been messed up, and it was just really bad stuff. And I see the psychic in this person, and I see how intuitive and in touch, but because of that fractalization at a young age and no support until the her middle age years, wasn't able to function or do well with it. And then, now the religious programming that she had gone through before doesn't really let her see what's actually happening with her on that psychic
Right.
level. So it's very traumatic, and it's very sad to see a lot of these unsolved suffering cases of people suffering, and
Exactly.
we know
So many
why.
people can be helped. Yeah.
It's a beautiful cause too. Well, we're at that point where I want to do the lightning round, and for all of you guys at home, the lightning round, I'm just going to ask Shaminga some questions that will help you get to know her as a person more. Fortunately, with us, you're a very open book, and you're a very sharing person too, who loves to share their experience. So hopefully, a lot of people got to know you, but some people that we've had on before, they speak a lot about just their work or that, so we don't get to see their personality or that
Yeah.
much. But this, regardless, will help us know you better.
Okay.
S- So, any question you don't want to answer, just say skip and we'll skip it.
Okay.
What's your favorite color?
Um, my favorite color to wear would be purple, and the color I identify with spiritually, I think, would be red.
Oh, beautiful. Nice. And then, what would be your favorite food?
Oh, see, I'm greedy, y'all. So I'm gonna just sum it up, and I'm gonna just say soul food, or else I'm gonna be going through a whole list of foods that I like to eat.
I hear ya.
Oh God.
Um, what is your favorite song and or band group?
All right, so we know that I love rap, but I would say when I answer these type of questions, I put myself in one of those situations where if if somebody said you have to listen to one song or one band for the rest of your life, what would it be? Definitely wouldn't be something in rap because after a while I would just like turn this off. Um, for some reason, I love "Don't Fear the Reaper" by Blue Oyster Cult, and I love "Dream" by Fleetwood Mac. So yeah.
Both amazing songs, and I'm guaranteeing, since we're near the same age, that you were around that a lot when your parents were playing it.
Oh man, my parents are playing good stuff, man. Bob Marley, Sade, all that good stuff.
Oh God, that was a great era for music,
I
wasn't it?
know, right? Yes, it was.
Well, we went through a nice heyday too in the 90s. A lot of the kids nowadays are listening to the 90s stuff and they're like, "Oh, classics." And I'm like, "Don't shut up. I'm not
Right? It was so funny when this the kids these days rediscovered Missy Elliott. I think she did a performance on an award show a few years ago, and they all thought she was a new artist. I was like, "Are you kidding me? Missy has been out for a while now."
I actually got a chance to see her limousine. She had a stretch Hummer, and
Oh
it was
wow.
parked outside of the nightclub that her and Timberland owned in Virginia Beach because I had family in Virginia Beach. So
Oh wow, that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, it was pretty neat. I never got to meet her or see her, but I did meet Ludacris. I was
Oh
doing
wow.
yeah, I was doing a job where I was building music sets all across southern Michigan, and we went to I can't remember if it's Jackson or Ypsilanti, where the Eastern Michigan University is, but wherever it was,
I
that's
think it's
where we.
Ypsilanti.
Yeah, yeah, I think it
Yeah.
is. And then I was there building for the concert for Ludacris, and because, I listened to Ludacris, not a huge fan, but I liked a few of his songs, I stayed, and, for the whole show, and because I'm, a crew member, I get to hang out backstage and
Oh,
watch.
that's so cool.
Yeah, he walked right by me, and I could not believe how short he was.
He's so little, right? Him and
He
Ti.
is. Yeah, he is. Like, at the time, my brother-in-law, my son's mother's brother, brother-in-law, he was about 5'4", 5'5", and this guy was shorter than he
Wow.
was. I was
Oh
like, "Holy
wow.
moly, how do they make him look so tall in the videos?" But,
Oh goodness.
yeah, sorry, that was getting to meet a rapper story.
No,
Um,
it's cool.
uh, what is your favorite place that you've ever been in the whole wide world, just enjoying nature for the beauty of it, for the feeling of it, for the look of it?
Um, I remember when we went to visit my husband's family when he took me to visit his family for the first time. I think he took me to a place called Mount Chilhowie, I think is how you pronounce it. And I just remember it being very beautiful. So I think that would be a place. I haven't been to many exciting places. But that would definitely be on my top list. And then my family's from Arkansas. And we have nice sized land where my grandma and my mom lives now. And that's another one of my. It's funny because I can't stand Arkansas probably because I just been there too much as a child. But my grandma's property is one of my favorite places, and I wish I could just go there and just be there and come back home whenever I wanted, you know. But yeah,
That's
I think those
amazing.
two places. Yeah,
Where's this mountain? Chalawi, you said?
Shahawi. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Tennessee.
Tennessee. Yeah, beautiful country there.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Um, what is your favorite childhood memory?
Ooh, I would have to say, and this favorite childhood memory stems from a negative moment. 'Cause I don't have many good childhood memories as far as that's concerned. But I remember when my mom and I moved to Denver, and she was pretty much getting away from my dad at the time. But I remember he sent me a package that had like one of my favorite dolls in it and my Sega Genesis. And for some reason, that memory sticks with me because I needed those things, you know. It was like a piece of Michigan back at home, and I didn't know when I was going to see him again or my family. So just having that little care package that came in the mail for me was it kind of helped me get through being separated from them at the time.
That is amazing, and we look at family too, and sometimes we never know when that favorite or best memory is going to happen. And I realized
Yeah.
that after my dad passed, there were a lot of little dumb things that normally I would have just been like, "Oh, that's normal dumb stuff, you know, it's cool,"
Right. Yeah.
but then become a treasure to my heart and mind and memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we always have to be on the watch for, I think. And you know, when I read that your dad passed in, I think it was May or March of 2016.
March.
Yeah, yeah, that's literally just a few months after my dad passed. So,
Oh
um,
wow.
yeah, he was October 2015, and yeah, it was a rough time. Um, when you're close to your family and they pass, it's a brutal thing.
Yeah, that was a hard year for me because my dad passed away early that year, and then my stepdad passed away in September of that year.
Oh man.
And my mom, just a secretive person, and I was calling and, hey, can I speak to, his name is Guy. Can I speak to Guy? Oh, he's not here. Like, she didn't tell us the truth about his death. I found out about his death through my sister, who sent me his online obituary.
Oh
And
Jesus.
I remember for a month I kept having this reoccurring dream where I was knocking on a door, and the door numbers kept saying 926, I think it was. And then come to find out, that's when my stepdad passed away.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
That's rough. First of all, sorry about those close losses. Together, it's got to
Yeah.
be rough. But secondly, that's amazing that you had the ability to connect with that. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
very psychic, and that energy, whatever that connection is that you're feeling, you'll definitely get that figured out too. And I think it's
I
a
hope
it's a great
so.
idea. Absolutely. Well, I want to tell you, as we're coming up to the time to end the show today, I want to tell you first, thank you for coming. You're amazing. All the work that I've seen
Aw.
of yours is amazing. I really appreciate your love for life and your passion to share. And I really appreciate you as a human being. And obviously, it always helps that we got the Michigan connection,
I know,
and
right?
that's always fun too. You don't
Yeah.
get to meet a lot of people in our community from Michigan, but I really think you're an amazing person. I think all those things that you want to do in your life are very meaningful and purposeful, and I'm glad the show might give an opportunity for new people to see them that might not have before. So thank you for
Oh,
coming
thank
on.
you. No, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Hopefully, we'll do it again. This has been fun, and maybe one day we can orchestrate something where we can get some people, like you said, people from the hood that can talk to Trev and Arnif. Maybe we can figure out a way to do that. I'll go to
Oh, that
Kalamazoo.
would be
There's a neighborhood
awesome.
down here that's a neighborhood where I'm not thinking many people have thought about a Trevor Arnif before, but I think it'd
Yeah.
be great something to do, get an exposure to people. I did think about sitting at the mall before and just channeling, and then
Oh,
anyone
that
who
would,
came up and just be like, "Hey, you got a question? Go ahead and ask."
man, you
Wouldn't
will
that be
blow
great?
minds. You'd
Yeah,
be all on TikTok, I'll tell you that much.
that would be great. I'd love to do it just for the chance for people who wouldn't normally get to do it. But I love
It's
the idea.
definitely a way to, like, the whole purpose is trying to help humanity raises vibration. And then one way to do that is knowledge, people being aware of this, and knowing of this world helps raise the vibration of humanity in general. So the more you reach out to neighborhoods and people that are closed off to this, the more we're raising their awareness and their vibration in their neighborhoods too.
That's it. That's it. It's a
Yeah,
it's a vibrational learning, spidering, networking effect. You know, you change one person's
exactly.
life, they change every person who they come in contact with, and that'll change a life drastically enough where they'll do the same, and on and on and on.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, I want to actually, before we do that, thank you, the Adam Twister, who, if you guys haven't seen, was a guest on our show before. Amazing show. just a month or so back. You can go back and check out the show with him. Thank you for the donation, brother. We really appreciate that. We appreciate all your love. And he says, thank you for sharing, Minga and Rob. Very
Oh,
welcome,
thank
brother.
you. Absolutely. Anytime.
Thank you for the donation, too. I want to let people know if people are like, holy shit, this was amazing. She's amazing. I want to look at all the stuff she's done or is doing. Where can people find you? How can people connect with you? And is there anything coming up here in the near future that you know you're going to be sharing that you want people to find? And if so, where's all that happening?
Um, I want to shout out my website first. That's going to be artbyminga.com. Again, that's going to be my abstract paintings. You have your glass, you have canvas and paper paintings on there. Um, I do most of my posts on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. I think Rob's going to link those things in the description because each one's a little bit different. But yeah, we have my TikTok where I share most of my AI stuff. And I haven't been able to paint, sadly, in a while due to financial reasons. I mean, the minute I can start doing that back in again and invest in my art more, you guys will see some more posts about my art, and I add that to my site. But right now, my website has at least about 30 paintings that you guys can go check out and view and purchase if you want to purchase some. Um, I don't really have anything in particular coming up. This interview right now was the highlight of my year and the highlight of going into 20 what's next year, 2023.
Yeah, yeah, we'll call it that. Yeah.
So yeah, so outside of that, guys, just check me out on my social media platforms, and YouTube. Most importantly, I try to keep my videos to not too long. So if you guys want to check me out on YouTube, I even share some of my abstract and AI art on there, and then I have my Minga After Dark and my videos Journey to Higher Self, where I'll just be sharing my spiritual journey and stuff. And I need motivation. It's been hard to keep at it because I don't really have a following. But I have my friends that encourage me, and my mom just keep putting stuff out. People to check you out. I really want to be able to talk to you guys on a regular basis, and even share some insight or whatever questions you guys might have. So yeah, just check me out on social media for the most part.
Thank you for doing that. And I suggest any of you guys who enjoyed tonight go check out those links on the social media. I definitely have all the links linked along with email down below. So if you want to contact Mama Minga, Shiminga Meyers, you can always do that through there too. Um, Thank you again for being on the show tonight. I appreciate it. And I want to
You're
thank
very
all of you guys.
welcome.
And we'll have to do it again sometime soon. Next year, we'll get some more shows going, and we'll definitely have you back on and get into some mental health and see what you've been up to since this one. I think that's a great idea.
Yes, I would love to come back. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for coming. And I want to thank all of you guys here in the chat tonight. I know I have not been as interactive with the chat lately in the last few weeks, but we've got an influx of chats coming from the Matrix Minds. And their people are very active in the chat, just like our YouTube page is. So I see you guys. I always go back and read the chats. Thank you guys for adding into the energy and sharing. I love you guys
Yes,
very
thank you.
much. I love you all very, very much. If you want to see next week, I will be here with Matthew Turner for the end of the year event for the Enlightenment Evolution Hour. And next year, we will be having a slew of amazing guests coming on, some guests that we've already talked to coming back. And we'll be doing a lot of new stuff for the ET Whisper and a lot of new stuff for the Enlightenment Evolution Network. I want to thank again Matrix Mind Media for letting us simulcast, and thank you to the Enlightenment Evolution Hour Network, the Conscious Awakening Network, and Forbidden Knowledge News for allowing our show to go up on your guys' pages afterwards. And thank all of you who are part of this. Without you guys, there would be no reason for two people to jump on the microphone and have these great conversations that we have here. I love you guys so, so much. Thank you for showing up. And we'll see you next week, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 Pacific, on the Enlightenment Evolution Hour. And we will be merging up with the Matrix Mind Media for the amazing end of the year show. Love you guys. We'll see you on the other side.
Bye.